everybody, just wanted to talk to you really quick about how to do your biogeochemical cycles lab. So this should be what you see when you look at the lab page. Only thing is you'll have the video guide here, which I'm recording now. So to do this lab, you're going to need one die, okay, a six-sided die. If you don't have one, then you can use the online dice roller. If you click on this link, it's going to take you here and you just click roll and gives you different numbers. So you also have these two links and you'll use one at a time. So if we look at the carbon cycle link first, then you should see this. These are the papers you'll need to complete the carbon cycle part of this lab. This is just a general picture of how carbon and oxygen cycle through ecosystems and some of the processes these elements use to move through our ecosystems. For example, here you see carbon going into the atmosphere from this fallen tree as it decomposes. You see carbon dioxide going into the trees, oxygen leaving. This would be representative of photosynthesis. And there's other things here on this picture as well. I'll let you look through those. So what we're going to do is make a list of all the different pools of carbon that we see, and we're going to make a ring around your paper with these different pools. So to get these, we're going to click through these different pages. So here's one pool, the atmosphere. You have plants, animals, soil, the surface ocean, and the deep ocean. So I'm going to make a list of these in a big ring around my paper, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I have written all 7 of those pools in a big ring around my paper. So you can pretend that this is your entire sheet of notebook paper, and you can see that I have written them all around the edges of my paper. So now what I want you to do is pretend that you are a carbon atom and this is your life story. So what I want you to do is make a map on your paper of all the places that you go as a carbon atom. Now to do this, you're going to need these papers. Notice that you have some numbers and some things that happen if you roll those numbers. So that's where your dice is going to come in. So I'm going to just roll a number and I got a 1. And 1 tells me that I'm going to stay in the atmosphere and tells me why. Much of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere moves through the atmosphere. Now on my paper, I'm going to draw a ring from the atmosphere to the atmosphere because that's one place that carbon can go. So that looks like that. And I've also done that on my notebook paper as well, so I can kind of show you what this is going to look like on your end. Okay, so now I'm going to roll my dice again. And I got a 3 that time, and that also tells me that I'm going to stay in the atmosphere. Now, I do not want to draw multiple arrows going to the same place. I'm going to pretend that I stayed here, but I'm going to leave this arrow alone. And I'm just going to keep rolling until I find myself somewhere else. So this time I got a 6, and that tells me go to plant and why. I'm used by the plant in photosynthesis. So now I'm going to draw an arrow on my paper from the atmosphere to the plant, and that's where my carbon went. And now this is what my map is going to look like. Looking at my plant page, notice there's quite a few things that can happen and I will still stay in the plant. So I might be here for a while rolling some numbers until I get out of this plant. But remember, I don't keep drawing the same arrow over and over again. So I got a 3 this time. I'm going to go to the animal. And I'm going to draw an arrow on my paper from the plant to the animal. And this is what my map looks like now. So now I'm on the animals page and just kind of looking through the places that I can go. Notice that there's only a couple of ways to stay in the animal. The rest of these I'm going to be released somehow. So I roll, I get a 1, I stay in the animal, I draw my nice circular arrow from the animal to the animal, and it tells me why. I'm stored as a fat molecule in the animal. And then I'm going to roll again. I got a 5, and now I'm going to go to the atmosphere. And it tells me why. The animal respired, it breathed me out. So draw my arrow from the animals to the atmosphere. This is what my map looks like at this moment. And I'm going to keep rolling and keep working my way through these different pools. You might find yourself stuck in a loop sometimes, going back and forth between the same places. Pay attention to that. That's where your carbon molecule is spending a lot of its time. Now, if you've done this for about 3 minutes and you find yourself just stuck in the same place or you haven't visited another location, then stop, go to that page and just start your map from there. So for example, if I have been stuck going back and forth between the atmosphere and a plant for a little while, then maybe I want to go to the surface ocean because I haven't been there yet. In that case, I would just pick up here at the surface ocean, roll my dice. I got a 4. It says stay in the surface ocean. So, of course, I draw my little circular arrow from surface ocean to surface ocean. So this is what I have on my paper so far. Yours should not look like mine right now. You should have your own story. So please play through this for a while. Hopefully you'll get through everywhere. But do this for a few minutes. Once you are done with the carbon cycle, I want you to flip over onto the back of your paper and we'll do the same thing with the nitrogen cycle. Here's where you will access the nitrogen cycle part of the game. These are the papers for the nitrogen cycle part of the game. So these will be your pools. Notice that you're going to have more of them. You're going to have 11 this time, and you're going to arrange these in a big ring around your paper. You will roll your dice, and as you roll, you'll be told where to go, and you can draw your map accordingly. So hopefully you'll do this for 3-4 minutes. If you have not made it to a pool, stop, go there, and then pick up where you left off until you get a nice complete map of where nitrogen moves in the environment. So I hope that you have a good time with this game. Once you finish, create a Google Doc with a picture of your web. Remember that you have two, the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle. I'd like to see both. Make sure that you're not drawing arrows on top of arrows. So for example, don't do this. If you go from the plant to the plant repeatedly, don't just keep drawing the arrow, just leave it there. Discuss what were some loops that you may have gotten stuck in and why do you think you spent so much time in those loops? Keep in mind that you are pretending to be one of these atoms, nitrogen and carbon. Were you able to travel freely from one pool to another? So pay attention to where your arrows go and where they can't go. And compare and contrast how matter and energy move through ecosystems. Keep in mind that energy was a one-way street. Energy runs out as it moves through an ecosystem, which is why you only have the ability to support around 5 trophic levels. Please discuss these things. Send in a document for this lab. I hope that you enjoy it, but if it's clear that you don't follow the instructions on this, then you will not receive any credit for this lab. So please enjoy, and I look forward to seeing your map.